This is the Seat Ateca. Part of the VW group, Seat like to deliver a familiar feel throughout all of their cars, from the Ibiza right through to the Tarraco, and the Ateca is no different. It's very similar to the Tiguan in that it shares many of the same mechanical and oily parts, but Seat like to give it a revamp and make it look a little bit sportier, so it very much feels like a Seat. Now the Ateca starts from around £26,500 brand new, but that is for the base trim. If you'd like to upgrade that trim level and save a few quid, visit the website below, visit one of our showrooms, or just Google AvailableCar, and I reckon we could find a great deal for you. Right, let's take a look around. Now, as I said before, Seat like to keep things looking familiar. It's almost like they've taken the design of the Ibiza, decided they really like that, so they've just expanded on it and stretched it out as they move up the range. The front of this Ateca is pretty simple, but it is pretty cool. We've got this nice front grille at the bottom and then an even bigger one underneath it. The LED headlights look pretty cool as well, and then we've got this, it's not metal, it is plastic, but it's silver looking. It would have been nice if they made it chrome, a bit like the rest of the features. However, it does look pretty good still. Let's move around the side, and now we start to see the similarities between this and the VW, but that's not a bad thing because it looks pretty sleek for an SUV. We've got cool 18-inch alloy wheels. We've also got part body coloured wing mirrors. Underneath it is black plastic, but there's also underneath there a puddle light. When it's dark, you can't really see it under this lighting, but when it's dark, it'll shine a nice Ateca logo onto the floor, which I think is quite a nice little touch. We've got roof rails, so you can load this car up even more. It has got a big boot, which we'll get to in a minute, but you can add more on top. If you are loading this car up regularly though, you will need to think about engine choice, and we'll get to that in a little bit. Let's head round the back. Again, Seat like to keep things simple. It's nice, sleek, and there's not a great deal going on. I like that in a car. I do like the font. The Ateca font looks pretty cool. We've not got body coloured bumpers. It's black plastic, and again it's this silver plastic. It would be nice if that was kept chrome to match the rest of it, or maybe even all black, I think, but it doesn't look awful. Inside the boot, and this is a good size, this fits very nicely between the Seat Arona and the Seat Tarraco, and it's a good size boot is that. In the bottom we do not have a spare wheel in this particular car, but it is an option, and there is space for a wheel if you need it. We do have a clip lock here, inside here, if you need to attach something there, and there are hooks for shopping bags if you need to stop them rolling around the boot. And then we do have these latches which allow the rear seats to just drop down. They don't fold flat, they do not fold flat. That's a little bit of a downside for me. It would be nice if they folded flat, but again, it's not the be all and end all when it comes to putting the seats down. You can still get plenty in the back there if you need that space. Let's take a look at the parcel shelf if you do need to take that off. Does it fit on the bottom of the car? Yes, no, yes, no. Ooh, not quite. That's a little bit disappointing. It just does not fit. Oh, you might be able to squeeze it in, but I wouldn't want to squeeze that in and risk damaging anything. So unfortunately the parcel shelf doesn't fit nicely on the bottom of the car, so you'd have to sling that and leave that behind if you wanted to take the parcel shelf off, which is a little bit of a shame. Jumping into the back, and I would say that I think this is probably one of the most spacious rear seats I've ever been in. I mean, this chair is set up for me to drive as a fully grown adult, and again, as a fully grown adult sat in the back, I can stretch my legs right out. Now I've got dodgy knees, so sitting in the back on a long journey, they would start to ache. I don't think I'd get this in here because I've got lots of room to move myself around. It's brilliant. We've got pockets in the back of the seats, we've got a couple of blowers in there. We've got two USB sockets in the back, so you could keep both children entertained if you've got two of them in the back with tablets. That's fantastic. The door pockets, they're deep, but they're not very long and very wide. Still, there's plenty of space there for some sticky sweets to be thrown in and left for months on end, I suppose. In the back, we've got a couple of cup holders, and you can drop this down. So if you've got anything long that you need to fit in the car, you can slide it through there. nicely done. We've got ISOFIX seating at the back, so your child seats can go in there pretty securely. And in the middle seat, it's flat, it's comfortable. Again, loads of headroom all around, and I can stretch my legs out. This is a great back seat. Let's have a look in the front. I'm moving into the front. Seat's familiarity, once again, it's brilliant. We've got, because this is a higher trim level, we have got soft touch dashboard and a leather steering wheel. We've got just the right amount of controls on the steering wheel without it being too overbearing. Base models, you do get a decent bit of tech, to be fair, from Seat, but if you upgrade to this Xcellence model, you've got essentially everything you're ever going to need on a good touchscreen, and it's a good size as well. Climate control is separate, which, as you know, is important for me, and if you look down here, you'll see a knob to adjust drive modes. Again, you don't have to faff about on the screen, which is brilliant. And a cool little feature here for your mobile phone, we've got a nice rubber wireless charging mat down there, which is brilliant. Again, we've got USBs, 2 of them in the front, and the 12-volt charger, and a touch stop-start button here to start the engine. It's just nice. It really is nice and comfortable. I think these seats are really comfortable as well. They grip you, they're enough to hold you in position, but without being uncomfortable, being too restrictive. It feels really comfortable. I love this car. I think we should take it for a drive and see what it's like. Now, Seat offer a good range of engines, to be fair. The entry-level 1-litre petrol engine is a decent engine if you spend your time driving around town, doing the school run, trip to the shops maybe, that's about it. But it is going to take a pounding on the accelerator when you hit the dual carriageway or the motorway. It takes around 11.5 to 12 seconds to get up 0 to 60. So it's quite leisurely. If you're looking for a bit more power but don't do long journeys, then the 1.5 litre or the 2 litre petrol engine will give you that extra oomph when you need it. However, if you're doing lots of mileage on long journeys, there's a 2 litre diesel option, or there's this 1.6 litre diesel. This one, it's not bad. It's not bad. It's not the quickest off the mark. So, you know, if you do still want a bit of acceleration, you probably want to opt for the 2 litre. But to be fair, this is quite smooth, quite leisurely, and it feels all right. For an SUV, I don't feel too much roll when I'm turning the corners. It feels pretty stable, which is good. There's nothing worse than being in an SUV and driving on the roads and rolling around every corner you get to. It feels nice and stable. I like that. Driving down the dual carriageway, we've hit the rumble strips now, and it's pretty smooth, and it should be from an SUV, to be fair. The suspension is good, It takes off initially, it sets off as if you're going to have some really good acceleration, but then it seems to just stop a little bit. It's not the quickest off the mark, to be fair, but again, this is the diesel option. This is built for motorway driving. You're just going to be cruising up and down, so it's not too bad. But if you do want that quicker acceleration, you probably need to opt for the 2 litre. I've got great visibility all around, which is brilliant, so I have no complaints over that. And as I say, it's spacious up front. I've got loads of room here. I don't feel like I'm cramped in. The seats hug me just right. They're not restrictive, but they don't let me roll about too much. Having said that, there isn't a great deal of roll when you go around the corners anyway. It's quite stable for an SUV. If I'm honest, I've tried the different drive modes from Eco, Normal and Sport, and I can't tell much difference, to tell you the truth. But it does drive nice. It really does drive nice. The cabin noise is fairly quiet. I've no issue if I have a listen. There's no wind anywhere, so it feels nice and quiet and serene and relaxing. The driving position is fantastic. I've not even adjusted this to my driving position. I've just jumped in and I still feel pretty comfortable. The touchscreen is very easy to use, it's very clear to see, it's good resolution, and you can even put some of the information, for instance your radio or even your sat nav, you can put it on the odometers in there, and I nearly stalled that. That was me, not the car. The car handles extremely well on the dual carriageway, but it's just as good around town. It eats up potholes and speed bumps with no problem whatsoever. And as it's a large car, you might think it would be a bit awkward driving it around town, but it's got good visibility, so there's no issues with taking tight corners. Overall, I think this is a lovely car. In my opinion, the Seat Ateca sits probably on par with the Nissan Qashqai. If you'd like to see a review for that, visit one of the links below where you can compare the two. And if I had to choose, I think I would go for the Ateca. I think it drives great, it looks great, it's got a great amount of technology, and it's at a fantastic price. It's definitely well worth considering if you're looking for a mid-range family SUV. Why don't you leave a comment below and let us know your thoughts on the Ateca, and don't forget you can visit the website where we've got over 4,000 used cars in stock. We're sure there's an available car for you. See you next time.